thanks for watching us tonight. Are you addicted to the net? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Things are getting serious. 2011, 3,300 people were killed in vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers, according to federal stats. At least 385 of those died while actually using a cell phone in the car. An astounding 69% of all drivers in America, ages 18 to 64, report they've talked on the cell phone while driving. And there's more. 70% of sex addicts report having a problem online. The National Council on Sexual Addiction says that could be as many as 20 million people. Also, a study led by the University of Michigan says the more Americans use Facebook, the worse they feel about themselves. And a study by Oxford University found that too much social media damages interpersonal relationships. So, there's no question that this machine is causing an immense amount of damage all over the world. So how are you dealing with tech? Here are some questions. Do you text while eating? Do you text while talking with another person? Do you spend more than 2 hours a day on the net? Do you use computers for purposes that you don't want anyone else to know about? That is, would you be ashamed if other people knew what you were doing in cyberspace? Are you thinking about the internet when you're not using it? Do you talk to strangers on the net? If you've answered yes to any of those questions, there might be a problem. And that problem is most severe among children. Right now, millions of kids simply want to play games on the net. That's all they want to do. They don't want to play sports. They don't want to go outside and run around. They don't want to do activities that separate them from cyberspace. Most American parents and grandparents know what I'm talking about. The cyberspace addiction rate among American children is off the charts, and the implications for the country are staggering. If an American citizen is not interested in the outside world, that person will not be able to make intelligent decisions in life. Those are the so-called low information voters. The main problem here is that the net allows people to create their own worlds. They can lose themselves in a vast array of distractions. Therefore, they don't learn coping skills, they don't compete, and their national curiosity is stifled. Simply put, millions of us are wasting a huge amount of time pursuing trivial things. Talking Points believes cyberspace is as addictive as any narcotic. Human beings are becoming dependent on these machines, and that is going to change the world forever. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Boston, Catherine Steiner-Adair, psychologist and author of the book, The Big Disconnect, Protecting Childhood and Family Relationships in the Digital Age. And here in the studio, Dr. Robin Silverman, who specializes in child development. So you seeing net damage, Doctor?
I am. When I'm speaking to parents or educators, I'm hearing about some of the things that the kids are involved in, whether it's sexting or being on the computers too much, whether they're not knowing the type of text they should be sending, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, and they may be addicted to gaming. So we know that that's going on. However, the area that we really need to concentrate on is then parent education. It wasn't part of our lives growing up, so we knew how to balance it when it came into our lives. Cell phone use, Facebook, being online.
We? What do you mean we? There are a lot of adults who are just loons on the net.
That's true. But I think that we have learned in some way that it's not our whole world. We know we can go to work. We know that we can do those things.
I agree the problem is more acute among children, but I still think that this thing is consuming adults as well. What do you say, Ms. Adair?
One of the most moving findings for me in interviewing the 1,000 children that I got the chance to speak with around the country in 30 schools was their observations of parents who, in fact, they perceive to be just as addicted as they are, more inaccessible, and they experience a new kind of almost sibling rivalry, if you will, with screens for their parents' attention.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're, wait, well, let me stop you. That's fascinating. I didn't even touch on that. So many children tell you that they can't get their parents' attention. They're not being raised well, in their opinion, the kids, because the parents are obsessed with the internet.
I don't know that I heard any child say, I'm not being raised well, but what they talked about...
No, but they wouldn't say that. They would complain about it.
They did. They would say, "Mom, get off the phone," and then Mom would get mad because we all get cranky when we disengage, especially when the part of our brain that wants to do the to-do list on the computers gets so
Tell me about the
hyperconnected.
part of the brain now. Tell me about this. I'm interested in this. The part of the brain. What happens when you get so involved in the internet that it becomes a part of your life?
The internet appeals to the to-do list part of our brain. Gaming, when we're gaming, we know, especially when people are playing aggressive games or doing things that are very stimulated, your capacity for empathy gets diminished or shuts down. So unlike when you're in the kitchen and your child bugs you and interrupts you when you're scrambling eggs, when you can sort of say kindly, "Honey, wait a minute," or "Sure, sweetie, what's up?" When you're online and somebody interrupts you, most of us have the experience of sort of being crabby and cranky, and kids feel hurt. And they give up.
But when you interrupt the kids, they want to set themselves on fire. I mean, get out and play. It's a beautiful day. I don't know what it is. All right. So look, the three of us agree, but this has not been presented to the American public. The internet basically is a problem. This is everybody's, Facebook and the tweeting and this is the greatest thing. Now, I admit that the technology provides information and can be used for good, but I'm seeing way more bad stuff than good stuff. And you?
I think that when it's used properly, it can be a wonderful tool. We need to make sure that kids understand how to use it. And that means we need to learn how to use it even better.
Well, you really have an optimistic viewpoint on this, because once it gets a hold of you, the kids that's on their mind all the time. It's on their mind all the time.
It's become their life.
Right.
It's not just...
That's right. Comes their life.
It's not the cyber life. It is their life.
Right. But it's a phony life. It's not a real life.
They don't view it that way,
killing
though.
Zombies isn't real unless you're Brad Pitt. All right, and nobody is.
That's the gaming component of it.
But it's not funny, because, Ms. Adair, if you are an American and you just refuse to learn what you have to learn in order to compete in the marketplace, unless you get a techie job, all right, you're going to be hard to make a living, and you're going to be a terrible citizen. You're not going to know what the hell's going on.
I think that we have to distinguish between different kinds of internet use. There's very creative, very educational, all sorts of wonderful ways of being online.
Yeah, but that's not what they want. They want the fun stuff.
Some of the fun stuff and the values of the fun stuff and the social networking sites have values on it that are the opposite of the values.
All right, let me give you an
we want our
example.
kids to be learning.
Minecraft. You know what this Minecraft is? All right, you know what it is? It's a very good site for children, but it's addictive. They love it so much.
Yes.
So, it's good, but then, Minecraft, I don't know. I'm going to give you the last word, Doctor. You're optimistic about this. I'm not so optimistic about it. I think it's going to lead to a much less informed populace and a much more troubled society. You go.
My feeling is that parents need to learn how to look and listen, engage and explain to their children, and be a powerful example. If you want your children to learn how to use the internet properly, make sure you know what they're doing. Don't say, I trust my child, because you wouldn't give them an electric saw and say, go for it. You would talk to them about it. You need to engage and explain what it is your expectations are, and then you need to make sure you're setting the powerful example by not texting while driving, by
That's a good point. If you're doing it, you can tell the dopey urchin not to do it, because you're doing it.
You have to set the example.
All right. I'm going to set a powerful example by blowing them all up. No, I can't do that, because they'd run away from home if I did that. All right, ladies, thank you. Next on the rundown, as we reported last night,